I am currently an MBA student pursuing my MBA here at ISP. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience on how I worked out on GMAT, on how I worked out on my ISP application, and on the general strategy that a lot of you could focus on or follow. So the first tip or the first advice that I would like to give you is make sure that you know the exam inside out, right? So make sure you know the complete syllabus, and you shouldn't be spending your time on preparing for anything that's not relevant for the exam, right? So knowing the exam is getting the job half done. The next thing that I would like to talk about is make sure you follow a structured plan. So the thing that I initially struggled with was not following a plan. So let's just say if I talk about CAT, there are three things, right? A verbal, LRDI, and quantitative section, right? So I have inherently been good at mathematics. So what I did was I spent a lot of my time on quantitative aptitude and inherently ignored LRDI and verbal. And for that, I paid the price because I wasn't able to get a good percentile because I ignored my weak sections. So the tip that I would like to give you is don't ignore your weak sections. Make sure work on your good sections or work on your, I would say, strong sections, but at the same time also make sure that you're strengthening your weak sections. Why? Because by strengthening those of your weak sections, you be making or breaking your percentile. Because sometimes getting maybe a 99 percentile, 98, 97 or 96, there is only a difference of 3 or 4 marks, and getting those 3 or 4 marks in your weaker section is much more easier as compared to getting those 3-4 marks in your stronger section, because you're pretty much maxing out what you can from there, right? The next thing that I would also like you to follow is, so let's just say if you gave a mock exam, right? It could be a GMAT mock exam or a CAT mock exam. The time that you spend giving in the exam, make sure you spend similar or more amount of time analyzing your mocks, right? So this thing is of utmost importance. I actually cannot tell you how important that is and how much of a difference it made in my preparation. Because what happens is we tend to ignore the questions that we got wrong. So make sure you deep dive into each question and ask yourself, okay, why did I get that question wrong, right? Was it the lack of time? Was it the lack of my understanding? Was it my lack of maybe I made a silly mistake, or just maybe I didn't know the concept enough? So make sure you know all those things inside out, right? And once you know those things, so let's just say, I don't know, maybe if you are doing a question on maybe percentages, right? And you got a question wrong. See why you got that question wrong. Let's just say if you did not understand the concept, go back to your course material and make sure you do similar 4 or 5 questions so that you don't repeat them the next time you face those in a mock exam. And also keep a note of all those exam questions that you got wrong. Try to revise them by in a timely manner, at a monthly cadence. Right, let's just say after 1 month or 2 months, just revisit all those questions that you had got wrong. The next thing that I would also like to tell you is that be consistent, right? There would be days when you won't feel like doing it, or there would be days, ups and downs. You might hit a 99 percentile in one mock, but in the next mock, you could go back to 80th percentile. Believe me, this happens with a lot of people. This happened with me as well. But make sure that you stick to the plan. There would be ups and downs in your journey. Sometimes you'll hit it, the bullseye, sometimes you won't. But make sure the days on which you don't hit, or the days on which you don't feel like working, make sure you also have a plan for that. Just get up and do it. Maintain that consistency, and whatever percentile or whatever your score you are aiming for, you'll be able to get it at the end of that. So honestly, these are the basic things, or these are the crux of the how do I put it? The strategies that you need to follow to be able to get a good score, or to be able to get a good score that will make you happy.
So Bhanu, how did you handle the why MBA question?
Why MBA question? Okay. So the thing is, I was working in analytics consulting, right? So the thing that you need to ask yourself is okay, why do I need to do an MBA? And the answer to that is, for me, it was because I wanted to move into higher consulting positions, and those consulting positions required an MBA. So that is something that you need to ask yourself as well. Let's just say if someone is from a tech background and wants to move into product manager, that is a why MBA question. That is your answer there, right? You need to figure out all the points, okay, this is my career trajectory, and these are the places that I want to go. These are the firms that I want to go. These are the roles that I'm targeting, and how MBA can help me achieve those roles faster, and how MBA can enhance my experience so that I'm better suited for those. So this is the question that ask yourself, because all of us would have different aspirations here. All of us want to go into different places, different roles, different companies. And for that, each and specific role, research it on a bit, how MBA can add value to your experience. So this is the main strategy or the main focus on how could answer your why MBA question very well.
So it is open
Okay,
to all students. So
you
any
can ask
student who
any
want to ask.
questions.
Yes.
You can unmute yourself and you can ask questions. Okay, I would like to ask one question to you, Vanu.
Yeah.
You said that some days it is good and someday you can score 99 percentile, but some days you miss that chance and or you score a 89 percentile or less. So what was your strategy before that? Means so if suppose someday you miss anything, so how would you try to cope up with it, or what was the things that you told yourself so that you can aim for a higher percentile?
So, see, the first thing that you need to tell yourself is that it was a fluke, right? This is not something that is a test of your own intelligence. Because what I have seen is a lot of people start doubting themselves, start doubting their intelligence when they don't get the marks. But be assured, this does not, those marks are not reflective of your intelligence, or those marks are not reflective of who you as a person are. But the thing that I told before, that was go back, see what you did wrong, why you did wrong, what mistakes you made, right? Even in that 89th percentile, list down all the questions that you did wrong. Again, have a very strong analysis on why you did those questions wrong, what are the topics that you got wrong, and again, how the time could be managed well. Do this, and believe me, your frequency of days when you don't hit your required percentile will come down. Again, the ups and downs are part of the journey. Some days will be very good, some days will be very bad. But what we as a person can do is reduce the frequency of those very bad days and increase the frequency of those very good days.
Okay, thank you. Others also can unmute yourself and ask any questions if you have.
So Banu, what is the diversity in the ISB batch right now? Is it more engineers there, or what kind of a diversity you see?
So what I know is around 40% are engineers and less 60% are non-engineers. Now those non-engineers also include people from army backgrounds, navy backgrounds, your commerce students, arts student. We also have a guy here who got rank 1 in All India Engineering Services, IES. We have people from merchant navy. We have people from border patrol. We have people from political backgrounds here. So 40% are engineers, like hardcore engineers, but rest 60% of the batch is pretty diverse.
Then also we see majority
Okay.
of there is a majority of engineers.
Yes, I would say majority of engineers. I guess this is pretty much the story of every MBA college that's out there. But again,
why does it happen when every MBA college is so concentrated about having diversity and all? So why does it happen that you have a majority of engineers?
So I would say, like, okay, again, when we talk about engineers, there are vast variety of engineers, right? So let's just say I am a computer scientist who has been working in consulting, right? There are mechanical engineers who went on to do, maybe, I don't know, maybe who went into political background, or maybe a stand-up comedian, right? So when we talk about engineers, it's their basic education is of engineering, right? But a post engineering, a lot of people are doing a lot of different things. If you talk about hardcore engineers, like let's just say if I am from a computer science background and I went into software or IT, that number would be very less. But even in engineering, there is a whole lot of diversity. As I told you, I met a person here who got an All India rank of 1 in Indian Engineering Services, EES, that is pretty much number 2 to UPSC. So even though he was also an engineer by profession, it's just that he did not continue doing engineering. So how I would like to put it is that even though they are engineers by education, but they are again excelling in very different fields, not just engineering fields.
Okay, we have a question from Akul here. He is asking, how did you manage your job and your preparation together? Or did you took a leave?
No. I did not took a career gap or a break. So I have always been a morning kind of a person. So my work used to be very hectic. So I used to work from 10 to 10, if I'm being honest. So the thing that worked for me was that I am someone who likes to wake up early. So let's just say if I finished my work by 10 p.m., I would go to sleep by 10:30ish and I would wake up at 5:30. and I would have good solid 2 to 3 hours for myself to prepare, to learn things or to work out in the morning. So that's how I worked out, and also I made the most out of my weekends. So that is the time. That's the gold mine of time that you could have. So go weekends was kept only and only for mocks and mock analysis, and rest of the week was focused on learning the concepts or making my area stronger that I faltered on during the weekends.
Okay, we have one more question from Yash. So, as a working professional, have a reason means anyone from IT or engineering backgrounds who is in product manager or anything, they have a reason for doing MBA. So,
Mhm.
what can you give? What reason can a fresher have to do an MBA, or what can promote him or motivate him to do an MBA as a choice or choose MBA as a career?
Fair enough. So, see, for that thing, what I would like to tell you is first figure out what is the industry that you want to go in, or what is the job that you are targeting. Right. So, let's just say if you're a fresher and you want to move into consulting, tier one consulting firms or front end consulting firms won't hire you until unless you have an MBA. Right. So, this is a very solid enough reason for you to put forth. Right. And the other thing that I have also seen people giving is, and is something that has worked for the others as well, is so when you're a fresher, right, you are in that momentum of studying, constantly studying. And let's just say if you are coming in with maybe with 4 or 5 years of work X, you lose that momentum of studying. See, MBA is a very hectic course, let me tell you that. It is hectic. So when you are in that momentum of things, doing an MBA also makes sense. But this might not be a very strong enough reason, but a strong enough reason is for you to figure out the industry that you want to go into and how MBA can help you that. So this is something that all the interview panelists look into. Like I told you, a consulting example, right? Tier one consulting firms won't hire you until unless you have an MBA. So that is something that how you can spin your story. And let's just say even if you want to go into management, right? And you are from an engineering background, so you could tell them like, okay, I have an engineering background, I have the relevant work ex, I have the relevant internships. Now I want to fast track my promotion to a product manager, and that is why I'm looking for an MBA. An MBA maybe will help me complement all the skills that I've gained, maybe in my and maybe in my engineering or in my commerce or arts or anything for that matter.
Okay, others, if anyone has any questions, they can unmute yourself and ask.
So, Banu, one more question.
Mhm.
Let's say we meet Banu today, and let's say we meet Banu after 1 year. In terms of skill set, what changes you think we will see?
So the first skill set that I would see or that I've already started seeing is that I am getting better and better at time management. So MBA throws 100 different things at you at the same time, right? And at the end of the day, you have to prioritize on which things you want to do, which things you don't want to do, and how you want to do them and when you want to do them. So time management is of utmost importance. It is something that you're going to learn every single second that you spend here. The other thing that I am going to learn here is, or the skill set that I might learn here is, I think a basic knowledge of everything. So I'm from an engineering background. I pretty much have zero knowledge about finance or economics, right? So in my term one and term, we were taught economics courses and we were taught about finance courses. And the thing that used to happen with me earlier was, so let's just say if I was watching news or if I was reading newspapers, whenever a finance news came or whenever a economics news came, all those words seemed as foreign language to me. I did not know what those words meant. But right now, I am able to actually make sense of those words and I'm able to comprehend what the news is trying to say and what this news means. And this also sort of enables me to have a better conversation with my peers, right? Because they understand that I know something and I know that I understand what they are saying. So this is a skill set that is, I would say, that I will learn. And the other thing also is MBA puts you in tough positions. By tough positions, I mean you will get crossroads that you have 10 different things to do. You'll have clubs, you'll have your friends, you'll have your academics, etc., right? And how you deal with them, how you prioritize them, and how you make sure that you're giving your best, even in a situation that's so stressful. How you come out of it with flying colors is something that MBA will teach you very well. So these three are the broad skills that I think that I will learn during my course here at ISP.
All the points you mentioned right now is, let's say if I have two choices of doing an MBA, and second is to start a startup of your own. I think a startup will teach more, isn't it? It'll, number one, it'll keep on throwing challenges on a daily and even I think on every minute basis, every hourly basis, and it will be realistic. Like if you're not able to handle it well, you are going to die. It's not about you. It's not all about marks. I'll not be concerned about whether I will get the 7th grade or 6th grade. I will fail. I'll fail in my life. The first point. Second point, time. My point basically means all the points you mentioned. Practically speaking, it's just like if I want to learn swimming, the best way is to jump in the water. If there are other way in which I have a course of swimming, I will know many other things, many additional things. But my understanding is knowing a thing by jumping in the water will be much more fruitful than having a course of swimming. Am I correct?
Yeah, again, this is something that I do not disagree with. So how I like to view it is, let's just say if you want to go from point A to point B, there are 10 different ways of going there, and there are 10 different routes, there are 10 different vehicles that you can take, and every point will take you. It's just that at the end of the day, it depends on how you want to reach there. So let's just say if I talk about myself, right? So I come from a humble background, so I don't have that risk-taking appetite of starting a startup, right? Let's just say if I put all my money, all my efforts, all my hard works into starting a startup, and at the end of the day, it does not work out, I'll be a no one, and I'll be stranded out in the middle. So that is something that I personally cannot. Even the startup would have taught me a lot more things. For me, doing an MBA makes a much more sense. The reason being, it's sort of a comfortable place, not a comfortable place, but it gives me a safety net. So let's just say, even if tomorrow I do a startup and I fail at it, I'll have my MBA degree to fall back on, which will help me get a job. So a lot of people actually don't have that risk-taking appetite. A lot of people don't have those means to start a startup, or I would say a lot of people actually don't have the knowledge to it. So let's just say if you do have a basic understanding of how things work, it will get easier for you to maybe start something of your own, or maybe venture into a field that is not very known to you. Again, like I told you, there is no strict way of going from A to B. You could follow 10 different routes, you could take 10 different vehicles. At the end of the day, you have to see what works the best for you. For me, doing an MBA was the best thing that I could have done. For others who actually have that backing, who actually have that risk-taking appetite, startup might be a best thing to do, and they might burn their money and they might burn their time here doing an MBA, because that might not be very good for them. But again, at the end of the day, it boils down to individual preference. Everything will teach you everything. It's just that how you try to get out of it.
Okay, I have one question for you. Okay, how was the feeling of picking up books after leaving them for some time after doing the job?
So yeah, it was really difficult. I'm not gonna lie. The thing is that after 4.5 years, your concentration span reduces. Let's just say if during my engineering days, I was able to sit at a stretch for maybe 3 hours or 2 hours. Now that stretch has reduced maybe half an hour or 40 minutes here at an MBA. But the thing is that it pushes so much things on you, so much things that you had in a very short span of time, that you actually don't have much, no other option, right? I don't have the freedom to not do things. At the end of the day, I will have to do them, even though it was a very challenging thing for me during the initial part of the MBA days. But I'm still, I would not say sailing through, but I'm making through. But eventually, you get better at it. And you'll get better at it. You actually don't have any other option of not getting better at it.
Well, let's wind up. If anyone have a question, they can ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up. Is everyone having the rights to unmute?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Hi, Bhanu. So
Hi.
I have the question. I am studying for GMAT. So I want to go abroad for MBA program. But I am currently pursuing my graduation. तो ऐसा कुछ होता है क्या कि that I have to have experience of 2 years on field and then I am eligible for MBA, or I can go straight towards it?
So the thing is, there are two kinds of programs. One is MIM and the other one is an MBA. So MIM means Masters in Management. For those programs, I think you don't need a WorkX, or maybe you need, I think, a year of WorkX. But the traditional MBA programs, the maybe 1 year, or the flagship 2-year programs, they require at least 2 years of WorkX. But the good thing with GMAT is, let's just say if you're preparing here for your GMAT, once you get done with your score, that score would be valid for 5 years, right? So in the meanwhile, you could work on yourself, you could get some job, right? You could that work-ex, and once you have that required work-ex, once you have that required profile, you could apply to other colleges. But yeah, MIMs either don't require work-ex or require very little, but your proper MBA programs require work-ex at least of 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Let's find it.
Okay, let's wind up for today. And thank you, Banu, for coming and sharing your experience with us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.